Segment 1. Perceiving and recognizing objects. What and where pathways. Extrastriate cortex. The region of the cortex bordering the primary visual cortex and containing multiple areas involved in visual processing. In monkeys, these areas are named V2, V3, and so on. A V1 cell tuned for a dark edge on the left side of its receptive field would respond equally in the two situations. A V2 cell might not. V2 cells care about boundary ownership. They might respond to the dark edge of an object, but not to a dark edge created by light object on a dark background. From the extrastriate regions of the occipital lobe of the brain, visual information moves out along two main pathways. One pathway heads up into the parietal lobe. Visual areas in this pathway seem to be important for processing information relating to the location of objects in space and the actions required to interact with them. Example, moving hands and the eyes. This is known as the where pathway. The other pathway heads down into the temporal lobe, and this is known as the what pathway. This pathway appears to be the locus for the explicit act of object recognition. As we move down the temporal lobe, receptive fields get much bigger. Lesion, in reference to neurophysiology, is a region of the damaged brain, and also to destroy a section of the brain. When Clover and Boosie did this, they found that their monkeys behaved as though they could see, but did not know what they were seeing. Agnosia is a failure to recognize objects in spite of the ability to see them. Agnosia is typically due to brain damage. Inferotemporal cortex is part of the cerebral cortex in the lower portion of the temporal lobe and is important in object recognition. Cells in the inferotemporal cortex were discovered to have receptive fields that could spread over half or more of the monkey's field of view. Horace Barlow and others suggested a hierarchy model of visual perception in which the small receptive fields and simple features of visual cortex are combined with greater complexity as one moved from striate cortex to the IT cortex. Grandmother cell, coined by Jerry Letvin, has entered the jargon of the field to stand for any cell that seems to be selectively responsive to one specific object. The IT cortex maintains connection with parts of the brain involved in memory formation, notably the hippocampus. The IT cortex also, you need to learn their receptive field properties. Neurons that respond to grandmother cells clearly cannot be hardwired. Homologous region is a brain regions that appear to have the same function in different species. Cells in the fusiform face area are interested in faces, while the area like the parahippocampal place area has cells that respond to spaces in the world. Humans with lesions in the temporal lobe often show symptoms of agnosia, the ability to see without the ability to know what is being seen. Prosopagnosia is an inability to recognize faces. Electricity activity from the brain can be recorded from electrodes placed on the scalp. Feed-forward process, a process that carries out a computation one neutral step after another, without need for feedback from later stages than the earlier ones. The problems of perceiving and recognizing objects. One way to construct the lines detected by simple cells is to imagine combining a row of dots detected by retinal ganglion cells. Dots could be grouped together into lines. Each collected by a different cell could be combined by another cell that would sense a corner. Middle mid-level vision, a loosely defined stage of visual processing that comes after basic features have been extracted from the image, and before object recognition and scene understanding.